Hey, I'm Natalie Potts, and this is the Natalie Potts podcast. If you want to talk about your business, your life, your health, and more, then you are in the right place. We do it all with humour, love, and inspiration to help you create a life you love. So, let's dive in.
In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the power of being able to repurpose in your business and save yourself time. The other week, I joined Nick Feeney on his Coaches, Coffee and Conversation, where he does this on Instagram Live. It was an amazing episode. I loved the conversation and I want to share it with you today. So we're going to share practical tips, direct coaching advice, and lots of the challenges we've had to overcome in growing our businesses. So I know you're going to take a lot of value from this, and please share it with somebody if you feel it could be of value. Enjoy today's episode.
Natalie, hey, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. It's been a couple of weeks since we've obviously met in real life, wasn't it? We went out, didn't we?
We did. We had a great night.
Just for clarity, we went to an event with her mum as well, and Mrs. P, and another Natalie Costa as well. But no, so great to see you, and thank you for joining me. And you know what? Let's get straight to this. What are you drinking?
Black coffee.
Damn right. This is my second double espresso of the morning as well. Is that bad?
Wow. Well, I don't judge, but if it does what you need, go for it. Who knows?
There's sometimes I'll have a double espresso and then I'll finish and I go, I'm going to have another double espresso. I mean, I don't even let the first one land.
I'm a coffee go in the morning and then I'm a mint tea all afternoon.
I hear you. Well, listen, Natalie, I obviously know you very well, right? But for some of those people that are tuning in who don't know you and are going to be watching this later on, who are you and who do you coach?
So I'm Natalie Potts. I'm a business strategist and I work with coaches, consultants and business owners. And as you said, the coaching part, lots of my foundational work has come from being a qualified coach in personal performance and corporate, and lots around CPD. I'm really big on personal development. And so I always say, as though I do a lot around strategy now, and I've kind of connected all the dots together to bring my corporate background. Everything is off the premise that I ask great questions, and the skill set around coaching, like listening, seeking to understand, empathy. Those are core skills that great coaches need to have.
Well, listen, I think you're a great coach. I spend a lot of time with you. You're in my gang.
I'm in the gang.
And there's a reason for that, So let's crack on because we've got some really good questions coming. And as I say before, sometimes I try and sort of like just word them a bit so that they can be a bit more generic, so that they can help the audience more.
Sure.
But also, likewise, when some of the questions come in, clearly you know who it's for. And I think this one's for you. So with all the social media platforms available, I get really confused as to which one or ones to use. How do I know which one to focus on? And how do you build a strategy that makes you stand out? I mean, so two great questions there. And I'll be honest, $1 million questions, aren't they? Because I know that it's very different to the individual. But if we sort of look at it from a generic point of view, how would you answer that, Natalie?
Yeah, look, there are two great, very different questions. And I was on a breakfast networking event this morning, and we're talking around confidence and everything as well. And I said, I'm very naturally confident. I know I can come across like that. So I would say when you're starting out with anything, start where you enjoy something as well. If the minute we get something, we don't enjoy it and we don't have the passion for it, we fall out of love with it and we resent it. So work out the platforms that you love. You've got to ask yourself, where is my ideal client hanging out and where are they buying? They're probably two different questions again. I did a lot of focus groups when I started my business just to find out more about my clients. I realised I had quite a lot of assumptions and they tell me things and I was like, really? You listen to this, you watch that, you read this, you listen to this podcast? And I was like, I wouldn't have thought that. So do this groundwork as well, one for yourself and then one for your ideal client. But ultimately, focus on two. I think that some people are trying to spread themselves too thin, and this is one of my things, and they're trying to do too much. Be the best at less and build on it. And like I share, I think one of the most powerful things you can do is have a voice out there. So things like this. I know a lot of people don't want to do lives because they fear judgment. There's so much coming in around the confidence side and everything. But you having a voice out there is what connects us with people hearing you being able to share your story, get your personality across. Lots of platforms give you the ability to get a personality across. We just don't use them in that way. I think there's lots of people, I'm like, it's a bit boring what you're putting out there with, you know, that's just the honesty. It's valuable, yeah, but I don't know you as a person and I want to connect with you, because ultimately when I get on sales conversations with my clients, I'm noticing the stuff that really connects us is that I followed your journey on fitness. I worked with them too. I gym like you do. I'm really struggling with my weight loss. I'd love to do a transformation, or I love the fact you go to loads of networking events, or I've had clients come from going to Stephen Bartlett events just by sharing my stories, because there's something that's connected us.
Yeah, I think that I mean, there are a couple of great bits in there, but I'm gonna stick with that last bit. Is basically don't forget who you are.
Yeah.
Right, because we do find ourselves go, oh, I'm on LinkedIn, for example, I'll put on a tie, you know, and because it's a professional network. Actually, I don't wear a tie, so I'm not gonna, you know, don't try and fit into someone else's box, right? Is remember who you are. And it's so important, as you said, because what you talk about, Natalie, you know, you're a coach on strategy, but the connection that most people make with you is, like we said, through your health and your fitness journey, right? And then you go, oh, that's me. I did that, or I connect with that. I also need a strategist. So now I feel that she's not just good at her job, she's actually a person I want to spend time with, right? That's so important that we get our personality out there, isn't it?
It is. And essentially, going back to building a business and everything, I'm looking for a certain mindset. Yes, I want to help people on getting more clients, money, all of the stuff that everybody kind of talks about. The difference is that I want to connect with somebody that likes what I do, that you've got that genuine conversation piece to happen, where you could almost talk about, and I remember seeing Lewis Howes a couple of years ago live, as you did actually, and he said about something around this, that I could just go to an event for dinner and just talk business with people all night. I love it. And people would judge me sometimes that you don't switch off, you talk work. It's like, but I love it, and I want to be around more people like that. You've got to, I don't know if I like the word tribe, but you've got to find your circle and your people that bring out the best in you like that. And social media platforms will have that. LinkedIn isn't my thing. I just haven't clicked with it. So I've kind of accepted that, and I let it go a bit now. That I love IG and Instagram for what it is. I love having a podcast, and Facebook works well.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's the thing. Don't force it. Yeah. Going back to what you originally said, is find out what you actually enjoy doing, you know, and also start with one or two, and that's it. And get good at it. Build your confidence up. Understand the sort of the story, the message you want to give, and then dabble in some others, or not. It doesn't actually matter, but definitely find one that works for you and start. And ideally, as you said, you know, understanding where your clients are, your ideal client, is super important. Now, just to finish off on that second part, is like, how do you build a strategy? But one thing that you said, which I think is really, really important, is about how we assume so much, don't we, about our ideal client, what they're doing, what they're listening to, where they are. And actually, it's so important. And this is something, you know, I learned the hard way. I spent a lot of time planning and everything and making sure everything was great, and forgetting to ask a question, you know. And even if those questions is, hey, by the way, I'm thinking of doing this, I'm thinking of going yellow or red, what do you think? You know, because ultimately they're the ones that are actually going to be buying it. Sure. So, or, you know, buying your services. You can't go, oh no, I think everyone loves yellow. You know, that's an assumption, and that could have actually quite a negative effect. So, A, don't assume, but what else can we be doing?
Well, it comes down to, for me, what can you be consistent at? So an example, I know, like I shared about the voice and having video out there, I've got my podcast, which I do once a week. And I've consistently done that pretty much most weeks since May 2020. I also have, like, I want to get out more visibly on Instagram, again, to grow my audience on here. So I'm like, well, I've got to be on a platform more. That's what all platforms love, is your downtime on them, right? Reality, like we all would. We don't want people more in our business for longer. So I thought about the other week, I was like, right, I'm going to go live every single day. And I'm like, actually, is that achievable? And I was like, probably not, because I've got a lot of hats to wear. I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to feel quite overwhelmed. I'm going to procrastinate. So you got to have the plan, but you've got to think about, again, it goes down like the goals, like, are these smart? Are they achievable, realistic? What time frame you want to do them? And ask yourself those questions. Can I achieve that? Because if we don't, I think we sometimes put too much on ourselves pressure wise, where the less is more. Again, if you master that and do it over and repeat things, and this is where success leaves clues, that just repeat what you're doing and do it consistently. Most people don't achieve what they want because they're just not consistent.
And also, I think to add on that as well, is that people just don't give it enough time.
Patience and consistency,
yeah,
complement one another. It's and we speak a lot about patience. It's really hard, and I'm doing a bit of work because I'm speaking at the end of September, an event, and I'm doing a lot of work right now about risk, but also about this idea of delayed gratification and patience, freedom. Like, we say all these words, but we don't actually think about what it means to us, or, well, how do I live and breathe those? And that's really important. And I love this question. I keep saying it recently since our last meetup, was, if someone was to spend the day with me, am I living and breathing what I say are doing things? And we have to be doing that. It's really, really important. We can't just bat these things around of, I've got great values, but you're not doing them. And I'm really, that's a massive thing for me, is someone really aligned to their values? And if they're not, I'm often out as well. I'm like, it's just not for me.
I know, it's so true. And I think the thing with patience as well. So, you know, when I started this Coaches, Coffees and Conversation, you know, I asked myself, right, I said, okay, I'm interested in doing a live. What would it be about? Why do I want to do a live, first of all? Right. And I said, you know, because I love this sharing, you know. It's like me and you having a coffee, right? And we meet up. I meet up with you. I meet up with Natalie, with Dean, Simon. I meet up with loads of other coaches, and we just have great conversations. And it just dawned on me. I went, the three of my favourite things. Why don't I just share them with my IG community and give it a go? And I gave myself a timeline of how long I was going to do it for, regardless of numbers, regardless of comments or anything like that, because I also know how we consume stuff. We don't automatically like, comment, you know, so people know that we're doing it. So I give it time. I look at the insights and that it's clearly working. And obviously the conversations I'm having with people afterwards, I know we're helping them with the questions that we're being asked, and the answers that we're giving, and the amazing diversity of the coaches. But my point is, I still sat there, asked why I want to do it, gave myself a bit of a strategy, looked into how long it was going to be time-wise. So again, when my coffee's done, we're done, because everyone else is. They all drink coffee the same way. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. And then actually, this is our last one before summer, because actually now I'm reviewing everything that's done. And I've done a bit of this already, so I already know where we're going with it. We have a break. And again, it's important to know that you are allowed breaks, you know, in your strategy. You can come off. You don't have to be every day on it. You can have those moments. And then we'll be back bigger, better and stronger. But I tried it out with no sort of premise other than I'm going to try this out, because again, you can't guarantee it's going to work. So you just have to do it for why you want to do it, and what will be will be.
And the reality is, a strategy is like a plan, right? It's having a plan for what you're going to do. And that's the same in anything. I've got one in fitness. I've got one in business. You've got to give yourself, take some pressure off at times as well, especially as, you know, like our heads of business owners, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and expectation of what we should be achieving, etc. And I was having this conversation with my mindset coach in a week around, when we're kids, we just have fun. We don't think, like I was saying about, I've loved the fact recently, I've just gone for a walk and I thought, I'm going to spend another 10 minutes out. It's not, I've got to get back for this. And we just have fun. So when we get to adult, we have to attach meaning to every single thing we do. Everything has to have a return on investment. It's like, if you're not doing that, why would you even think to do it? And I think sometimes it's just, I'm really trying to invite into the plan of how I'm living my life is just have a bit of fun as well, and chilly out as such a little bit at times, because things like, for example, then I had that weave that into the business side of things I do a podcast because I love it. And again, I don't think it's as easy to say, chase your passion and money comes. We can all be doing that for ages, and that's like having hope as a strategy. It's never going to work. But you've got to understand the steps to get and have a great process. But we also need to know that sometimes it's okay that some things are just fun in business and life. And there's nothing from that apart from how you feel. I'm in certain programs and a mastermind, people are like, what'd you get? And I was like, well, look, okay, I get this, and this. Like, yeah, but what's it, the investment's that? What do you get? And I'm like, do you know what? I have fun. I feel good being around the people I'm with. I'm stimulated in my head, but I'm not talking about conversations where I'm bored, because it's not for me. And those people are my people. So just the fact that I feel that I'm focused, I'm driven, that energy, and we talk energy, but that's the energy that then has this ripple big effect on how I show up in my business every day. Whether I have the energy to get up and bounce out of bed, or whether I can say, yeah, I didn't quite do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of Mel Robbins today. It didn't work for me this week, but I still got to the gym, but it was half an hour late. I'm cool with that.
No, well, listen, I think that leads beautifully on to the second question here. And you've answered a lot of it, but I think there's a bit more that we can add to it. Is that you both seem to be hugely busy across your social platforms. How do you make sure you aren't always working and you manage to have downtime? You know, you put a post out today, Natalie, where you're like, doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And at the end, there is downtime. You got a date night. Right? Gin and tonic and movie night, I believe, you know. So how do we make sure that whilst we are busy and sometimes striking while the iron's hot, how do we also make sure that we do have time to just, because I know you're a 100-mile-an-hour girl, right? I'm a 100-mile-an-hour boy, you know. It's like Andrew takes a piss out of me the way I jump out of bed. It's like I have an on switch and I'm like, da, 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 you know, and then an off switch and then I go. So how do we make sure in between that time we actually take time to look after ourselves and actually chill, have fun, like you said, you know?
Yeah, so it's funny actually. We've been watching Quarterback on Netflix this week. If you haven't started watching it, it's amazing. And there's a bit and he's like, "You like that?" So I keep doing it to Tom every morning. I'm like, yeah, because every morning I can be the most positive, toxic person ever. I'm like, it's a beautiful day. What are we grateful for? And Tom's just like, can you shut up? And I'm like, no, I do have that energy, but I also have an energy where I'm like, 2 o'clock is not my zone. 2 o'clock's my kind of dull moment of the day. And then I'll perk up again. Coming back to that, I time block very well. And it's a thing I work with on clients that we're not taught this stuff at school, right? And I work with kids in it. I work with schools actually on motivational strategies as well, as kind of a sidekick that I love. And we talk in there a lot about how to manage time. And I thought I never had this stuff as a kid.
Did you call that time blocking?
Time blocking, yeah.
Blocking.
So this is how I run it, right? I'm unapologetically selfish. I put myself first every single week. So every Sunday, I'll look at my planner, and Mr. has his planner because he works shifts on my planner. So we'll work out, when am I doing my fitness is my biggest one, because I get very irritable if I don't train. It's just, I have to do some form of exercise every day. And that goes in as a priority. It's putting my own oxygen mask on first. Then we work out stuff like that, date night. Like, I'm doing what I do in my business as much as I love it, and I can work loads of hours because I just see I love it. But to bring that to reality, if I don't have an outcome, like what I'm doing with this for is to spend time with Tom and to have life experiences. That's what I'm essentially doing this for. I've had money. I can have all the money in the world. If I don't get the opportunity to spend it and enjoy it, what's the point in it? So us planning that in as a priority. I then do my business. I'll then plan out the priorities in the business for the week. And I always give time every single week and every 90 days to spend a lot of time just out on a bit of kind of cathartic stuff, whether it's journaling, whether it's I go for a walk and just note things down. I give time to say what's going really well. I review like what's going really well for me, what's not going well. And that really helps me manage how I see my business, that it's not me. I'm not emotionally attached to my business. If it all went today, I'm still a person, I'm still grounded, and I go and do something else. I create another business or do something. So it helps me be able to reframe, again, coaching, my life, how I see my business, that, you know, failure, expectation, through having that process, which I say is pretty simple. It's not necessarily easy.
I think the thing is, you know, how I phrase this, and it's what you've talked about, is I, you know, it annoys me when people say you have to make time for self-care and things like that. It's actually the wrong way round.
Yeah.
You know, I coach people to become beautifully selfish, and I call it beautifully selfish because actually you have to put yourself first, oxygen mask first, however you want to phrase it. You have to put yourself first, because you cannot turn up, certainly in my role, cannot turn up as a dad, as a husband, right, if I'm half full, right, if I'm putting everyone else first and I'm depleting myself. So how can I be beautifully selfish? And why I say beautifully selfish, because then it's like, for example, let's just say we talk about fitness and someone says, can you do this? Say, well, hang on a moment, I just need to go and do my workout, right? So I've had my time and everything like that, but then I can come back and do that for you, or then we can come back and sort that out. Not go, oh, of course, I'll drop my stuff because actually I'm going to make everyone else more important than me. Actually, it is the wrong way round, you know, and I've said this before. If you are not looking after yourselves, then if you were to scale yourself from a 0 to 10 in how you start your day, 0 being, you know, I'm a Zen master, and 10, I'm going to kill someone. You know, if you're not looking after yourself, you're starting those days on 5s, 6s, 7s. It doesn't take much for you to lose your shit, right? For something simple. So it's so important that you're beautifully selfish, that you put yourself first. And again, by understanding yourself, because only you know yourself better than anyone else. And myself and Andrew were talking about this morning. We were talking about some courses that we're building, and the aspects, the pillars of them. I know for me, sleep is number one. Whilst I love my exercise, while I love eating well, while I love like drinking lots of water, all that stuff, right? If I don't get my sleep right, it's almost like a domino effect. And actually I start making I'll miss stuff, I'll get grumpy, I'll eat bad stuff. So get my sleep right. And for me, my sleep right is getting up at the same time every morning. That's me, and ideally going to bed nearly the same time every night. That sleep pattern for me, I can do anything. So finding out what it is, that thing for you, and prioritizing it, and do not put anyone else before that, because you cannot be a great you if you're depleting.
It's high emotional intelligence, isn't it? It's self-regulation, it's motivation, it's empathy for yourself, and it starts with you. You have to live, and again, we say values and things like, and people say integrity a lot as a word, but you've got to really ask yourself, well, what does that look like in how I show up and how I treat myself, and the kindness I give to myself? We can say that, but actually, how do you do that? And it's so important. And sleep's a massive one. And again, it's like, I wish somebody had told me that when I was 17. Make sure you get this amount of sleep, because it's quite a basic thing, it sounds, but it does have such an impact. And
Definitely.
I think you've got to give yourself the time and space there. So, you know, like, yes, we're busy people on our socials, but we've got plans, and then we'll stick to plans as well. We say no to things, and when we know where we're going, because we've got good, you know, strong visions, and we've got an agenda, then it's about them being decisive in business about what's going to work and what's not.
But I think also it's accepting, right, that life ebbs and flows. So, for example, I'm aware that this week my sleep's been a little bit disrupted, because I've had 2 5 a.m. starts, which is quite unusual for me, you know. So again, you have to look at it not through a lens of like a few days, but what you do most of the time.
Sure.
You know, we get so caught up in these little these little moments, or a week or a few days, and actually, and this is how people, you know, have that attitude, oh, I'll do this for 7 days, I'll do that for 30 days. Actually, no, it's what you do most of the time is where you're going to get the most amount of benefit, or not, depending what it is that you're doing most of the time. So, you know, for me, most of the time, my sleep's on point because it's my fuel. It's, you know, it's what allows me to be annoying in the morning and a Duracell bunny, you know.
And look, all of that also goes back to, we know we both love Simon Sinek as well, but, you know, start with your why. And I think it gets a bit cliche now, but I'm always centered on my why every day. The backdrop to my laptop is my vision board. Like, I'm all the time focused on that. And I say again, like, I left the 19 years of corporate to get more freedom. And I had to have a challenge a bit to myself around this. It's taken me a while. So I'm still working on it. I'm nowhere near where I would like to be with it. And I might not get there, but I'm like searching for freedom all the time. It's like the next, oh, when I get this, I'll feel more freedom. But it's like, I have freedom right now. And that for me is, like I said, actually, I haven't gone to the gym this morning because I needed a bit of extra hours sleep, and that felt right to do. So I did that this morning. I'll go later if I can fit it in, but it's not the end of the world if I can't. I'll go for a walk and get some exercise. Freedom is going to watch my niece, which, you know, I adore, who I adore, you know, do her swimming lesson on a Wednesday. If I just want to think, actually, I've got an hour, I'm going to go and watch her do swimming lesson. That's freedom to me, is being able to make those decisions. And I think, you know, take the consequences of decisions that we make with that comfortably as well.
No, definitely. And I think the thing is, you know, it goes back to asking yourself better questions, right? You know, because the amount of times that people go, oh, I want success, I want to be happy, but they never actually work out what that even is, you know, so they're constantly pursuing something that they don't even know, even if they've got it, you know, and they said, well, you got that like 3 years ago. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. I want to be successful. What does it even mean? So ask yourself better questions, definitely. Now, listen, I want to ask this last question because even though we're sort of getting close on time, I think it's a great question, right? How do you cope with frustration?
I have great people around me, and I've had to work on trusting myself a lot, and that's probably come from a conversation we've had as well. I put quite a lot of pressure on what I expect of myself and can do, etc., and want to do. So I guess it's understanding that the less is more, and actually, like you said, asking those, I've had to ask those big life questions on what do I really want. And I love business, I love working with people. You know, one of my biggest challenges is working from home my own. So I have to listen to that and think about, and it's not about rushing into things. I've done a lot of work thinking about, well, what could that look like? Because sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, and it's not always in reality how you map out in your head as well. So give yourself, you know, some things you can be spontaneous on, and I can be, but just slow things down to speed up in terms of, you know, working out what's really right for you. It's not a rat race. Okay, that's why I got out the corporate world as well, because I didn't want to do that life anymore. Yet I can create that around me, and then I think people like chaos. And I'm working this out with some clients, it's not necessarily about me. They'll never get what they want because they're creating the same patterns over and over, and that's not a coach or a strategist that's going to help them on that. That's something else they need to work through. So lots of people like that pattern because it brings security and safety for them, right? And you have to start that awareness of asking yourself those questions to have awareness is when you can then decide what you want to then bring the change. You can't have change if you don't have that. And the action is what's going to change your life and bring new things for you. I'm not saying that needle's going to be always very good, but it's a starting point.
Yeah. I think the thing that you also touched on there, which is what I would say is, you know, frustration is a daily thing.
Yeah.
And it does come round. I see it coming round where most people have this vision of what something's going to look like, or something's going to happen, how it's going to appear, you know. And that might be something that they're doing next week. You know, oh, we've got a party, it's going to be great, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to be awesome. you know, and blessed, you know, my daughter is actually, she's gone through this lately. It's her 21st birthday yesterday, and she's had loads of things planned, and bless her, I've been watching her get frustrated because these things haven't panned out as she thought they would. Because again, here's the thing, it involves other people, so you've lost complete control in that. But we put so much emphasis on that we're going to control everything and it's going to be this thing, and it isn't. So what I would say is focus on your output, not your outcome. You know, and I know that I love that saying so much, I've got it tattooed on my arm, right? Because the thing is, it will alleviate the amount of frustration, because you can only focus on your bit that you give. How it then looks, you don't know. And this is another thing where if you sort of have these goals, these visions of how your life is going to be, we must also remember that, and I was speaking to a coaching client yesterday, he's done some amazing stuff. And actually, if you look at what he did and how he set out at a young age, at 25, to have achieved some of these things, most people will go, oh my God, one of those things would be amazing. He's gone out and he's achieved everything.
Wow.
But he's feeling frustrated with himself because he doesn't feel he's successful, or he doesn't feel he's done it in the right way. He doesn't feel, right, it's big enough. But what we have to remember is when we set those intentions and those goals at that age, we based it on what we knew then. What we don't ever do, I feel, is that we don't ever adapt. We don't ever check in again and go, do we still want that version, or do we want a slightly different version? And myself and Andrew were talking about this yesterday. We were told before how important to be laser focused.
Yeah.
But actually, when you're just laser focused,
dangerous.
You miss so much of what's going on around you. Actually, you may be missing a better opportunity.
Yeah. And that links back to, like we said earlier, like strategy, but sometimes just have fun.
Yeah.
So an example, I got frustrated recently when I keep hearing quite a lot at the moment, the buzzword for me is overwhelm. And I was kept hearing it from clients and around me, and I was like, this is really frustrating me. And I said to somebody, I said, so would you rather feel underwhelmed? And it was like, what do you mean? I said, so you'd rather feel underwhelmed with what you're doing opposed to overwhelmed, but knowing that something incredible could or will happen from this. And again, it's reframing it. But I was like, well, how do I deal with my emotions on this? Because I'm quite annoyed about it. So I did a podcast, because again, I know what works well for me, again, managing yourself and doing what you need to do, is I have to get it out. And that's what I can control, is my emotions. So it's like, I'm going to get out a podcast, share my thoughts on it, give value with this. And yeah, it's been amazing to see so many people have responded to listening to that episode as well. And some people said, I was quite like thinking I was going to be a bit defensive to what you're going to share. And they said, but actually it's really helped me think on this, this and this. So you've got to, with frustration, is know how you manage yourself. And again, emotional control is really important. Emotional intelligence, again, it's the control you have over that. And you get the power to do that. That's within your gift.
Definitely. And I think I would just finish off there with, ask yourself what that word means to you. Because like you said, everyone uses that word, but it means different things to different people. So ask yourself, if you are feeling overwhelmed, actually, what does that mean? What does that look like for you? Yeah. And understand it, because again, right, it may not be as bad as you think it is. And the way that you put it there and you reframed it, where do you want to be underwhelmed or overwhelmed? Actually, it's a positive word, right? But for some people, it would be a negative, because I'm so overwhelmed, right? But, you know, again, I'm asking yourself better questions. Now, I know that we've run over slightly, but I still want to finish off with a quote that you either live by or that is currently been around for ages, but for some reason it's really speaking to you right now. What is that?
It will always be Walt Disney's one, and it's whether you do it well, do it so well that when others see you do it, they want to come and see you do it again, and then they also want to bring people back and show you as well. And that came from years ago when I was working through the leadership team, and I saw someone do it when she was leading a huddle with people, and I was like, it blew me away. And it's always stuck with me, this idea of giving value, people following you, being inspiring, and I love Walt Disney and everything it stands for, whether it's the resilience, the failures of everything that came with Disney, the whole story. It's an amazing book, actually. The Ride of a Lifetime by Rob Iger, their CEO. It's an incredible book on leadership and business. If you haven't read it, it's phenomenal.
Amazing. Natalie, as always, love spending time with you.
And
thank you so much for your input today. I know that loads of people would have found this useful. I know there's been a few comments. What I'm going to do, I tap up some notes here. That's why you see me scribbling down. And I'll invite you to collaborate with me, and we're going to put this post out. And then, because a lot of people do watch this on catch up, and they watch it again as well. And then they come back with more questions. And guys, you know, thank you as always for your questions. But if you do have more questions, put them in the comments below, and we answer every question. But also that question, I guarantee you're not the only one thinking it. Absolutely. And if it is a bit too personal, then please DM us, and we will answer them as well. So again, Natalie, thank you again for joining me.
It's been amazing. Love it.
Awesome. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in. And like I said, taking a break now for Coaches Coffee and Conversation. And I will see you after summer. So have an amazing summer. And I'll see you in September with more of this great stuff. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Are you looking to grow your business and tired of not seeing consistent results? Head to the show notes right now and check out my quiz to discover the one thing holding you back from growing your business with ease. Business should really not be complicated. I'll see you on the next episode.